Hey, friends. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies and Hearties. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I'm joined for the first time in a long time, my good friend Morgan, to chat about Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas movie, A 90s Christmas, starring Chandler Massey, Winkle's Heart's own Eva Bourne, and then Catherine Burrell. It was written by, I apologize if I mispronounce his name, Ryan Peckinpah, and directed by Marnie Bannock. While celebrating her promotion alone on Christmas Eve, a workaholic lawyer is transported back to 1999 via a mysterious rideshare experience. Welcome back to the podcast, Morgan.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me come back on. I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm excited to chat about this movie with you.
I am as well.
Yeah. So, what were your first impressions on this movie?
I really love that, like, obviously getting to see Eva again on
Mm-hmm.
on screen
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't seen her
Yeah.
in a while. I loved the feel of it. I love that
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't too crazy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it was just the right subtlety of like the
Mm-hmm.
90s. Like it wasn't too gimmicky, like it
I
was
see
kind
what
of
you're saying.
like
Yeah.
it was subtle. It was like little
Yeah.
tiny things here and there of like how
Mm-hmm.
different things are, and how
Yeah.
and also like I'm not gonna lie, the fashion
Mm-hmm.
it's showing just how much the 90s are coming back and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love that it was so much. It wasn't just about her being a workaholic. It showed like
Mm-hmm.
her grief and how much it really took a course in her life, how it
Mm-hmm.
changed the courses of her life. I don't know. I just love that the feel of Christmas was very small.
Yeah.
Christmas kind of took a back seat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still so prominent in the movie
Yeah.
as well. I really liked that feel.
Yeah.
It felt normal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just kind of took me a trip
Yeah.
back. I mean, I was born in 96, so I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember too much of the 90s as far as like actually
Yeah.
being there because like, I was like
Mm.
3 by the time
Yeah.
the 1999 came around. So,
Mm-hmm.
but still like it just kind of still took me back because
Mm-hmm.
like it didn't stop just as soon as
Yeah.
1999 came around. The 90s were
Yeah.
still kind of a fashion statement
Yeah.
even on into the early 2000s, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just loved this feel of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too. So I was born in 93, so I was 6
yeah, yeah,
in
exactly.
1999.
Like I was,
Yeah.
yeah, I was 3 years old. Like that was not. I don't remember anything from whenever I was 3.
I don't remember a whole lot. There are
Yeah,
a few things I remember.
yeah,
Christmas at my grandmother's house and
yeah.
hanging out
I
with
know.
my
Like,
cousins.
I mean, my nieces are 3 right now, and so I'm
Yeah.
kind of like thinking, like, how was it whenever I was there? Like, how
Yeah.
was like with, and they're like super into Barbies, super
Yeah.
into dressing up in their
Mm-hmm.
princess dresses and their little sparkly shoes. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I had those same things. So obviously not a lot's changed.
No,
They
I
just have a
was,
lot more stuff than we do because like I go down the toy aisle all the time with them and I'm like, I wish I would have had like half of this stuff whenever I was growing up. My collection of Barbies would have been like 10 times more than what they are now than they were. I mean, I'm like, you girls have no idea how lucky you are to be living right now. With all of this Barbie collection, you're facing to be set for life.
yeah.
Like, what's crazy is we actually got to get them a Barbie dream house. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna have under the tree from us this year.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
like all of the little we got them a couple of Barbies. Now they are gently
Yeah.
used, but I mean, honestly, those to me make the best ones because
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of like thinking about how I was 3 years old around that
Yeah.
time of year and like having 3 year old nieces, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, crazy.
Yeah. I was into the Barbies too. I think I remember
Um,
two of my cousins and I who were a little bit older than me. We would play house with Barbies.
mhm. Exactly. We had the Ken doll, the Barbie doll, and like had to play with them being like newlyweds or are married and like going on
Yeah.
dates and like making their like trying to maneuver their hands and their arms to like hug each other.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Now they actually bend. Have you seen
I
them?
know.
They actually like
No,
bend and their hands bend. Yes. I was
that's crazy.
like even their knee, even some of like not all of them, but they have some Barbies where like their knees bend. Like you
Wow.
don't have to crack them. Remember having to crack like the
Oh.
knees and stuff and the sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the
Yep.
sound of my childhood, and they're not going to
Yep.
experience what it's like. Like that's
Nope.
another thing. Like they're not going to have to experience the sound of like cracking their Barbie's knees to make her like sit down for anything.
Nope. Polly Pockets, that was the big thing for
Oh,
me.
Polly Pockets were my god. Did anyone else like? Okay, so I know this is going to say a lot about me, but okay, remember I'm like 3 or 4 years old at this time. Did anybody else would put the clothes in your mouth and like chew on their clothes because it was
I
like that
never
rubber?
did.
I did. I did. I had
That's
like a
all.
fascination with like the rubber. Yeah,
That's
I did.
hilarious.
I don't know. I cannot believe I just said that on like it's gonna be on the internet forever, but oh well. Uh it's so crazy that we were like talking about how like we're three and
Mm-hmm.
you were like
Yeah.
six whenever
Yeah.
1990
Six.
happened. Well, of course, this movie, she's 19, taking a gap year from college.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're going through the same year. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
year, same Christmas, but it's like totally two different parts of your life.
Yeah.
And so we're over here talking about Polly Pockets and Barbies, and she's over here grieving her father and trying to decide whether or not to
Mm-hmm.
go to New York and Chicago.
Yeah.
But still, like I miss the 90s so much.
Yeah.
And
It
like
was
the fact that, she got to get the chance to go back.
yeah. It was,
Crazy.
yeah. It was a fun decade. And a
Oh
message
yeah.
I got from this movie, it was towards the end from her grandfather
Mm-hmm.
when he says, learning from those mistakes, taking risks, and adapting, that's what makes life worthwhile. The real good stuff requires risks. So basically, taking risks could pay off,
Yeah.
is the message I got.
Absolutely. And like for me, I look back and there's plenty of times where I
Yeah.
feel like everyone kind of like looks back and you start thinking about how, oh, I wish I would have done this instead of this, or I wish I wouldn't have made this mistake,
Yeah.
or I wish I would could go back in time and
Hmm.
do this differently. I
Yeah.
am definitely, it's like the past 4 or 5 years, I felt
Hmm.
like that so bad. Like
Right.
I like different things because I'm going through the effects of mistakes that I made in the past,
Hmm.
which I know everyone does. Everyone does. It's
Hmm.
just a part of life. But it's like, I'm trying to learn that, especially with God, it's like,
Hmm.
like, yes, we make mistakes and yes, we're going to face consequences of our mistakes and our decisions, but at the same time, like our destiny is going to be our destiny.
Hmm. Yeah.
We don't necessarily like, yeah, we can throw ourselves a far, far away from what God
Hmm.
wants us to, our God's plan for us. But it's like,
Hmm.
as long as we're trying our best to follow Him,
Yeah.
our course is going to stay the same.
Yeah.
He's just going to redirect us. He's going to use the bad for
Yeah.
good. He's going to, what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to remind myself that I just have to keep trying my best to learn from those mistakes and learn from those
Yeah.
problems and just stay looking forward. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, look back and try and be better, but don't
Hmm.
dwell on it. And,
Yeah.
so that's kind
Yeah.
of what I learned from the movie is to
Hmm.
try and learn from this mistakes, but don't let them take me too far away from where I'm supposed to be, and because that could
Yeah.
detour me more
Yeah. I see what
than
you're
I
saying.
yeah yeah.
I agree.
So, and I know like the whole point of the movie was that she went back and she changed things and it changed her future and it put her back on the right path. And of course, we
Hmm.
don't have a rideshare time machine out there
Mm-mm.
in the world,
No.
but I feel like you know, you don't have to have that in order to
Hmm.
get the best
Yeah.
the life that you were always meant to have.
Yes. Agreed.
So yeah.
100%. If there was anything you could change from the past, what would it be?
Oh man. Honestly, I wish I could redo my high school years. And that
Okay.
seems so weird coming out of my mouth because like I'm turning 28 this year. Like
Okay. Yeah.
this month on the 23rd, I'll be 28. And so I look back at like my high school years. I feel like I overcompensated myself sometimes because I was very awkward, very insecure of
Okay.
myself. Um, and so sometimes I would try too hard to make friends and try
Okay.
too hard to fit in.
Okay.
And and I stayed in relationships with people and friendships with people that I shouldn't have. That
I see what you're
I feel
saying.
like, yeah. So, like, if I could change something, I would maybe redo my high school years. I think I would mainly just change, like, how I reacted to people and reacted to things in
Mm-hmm.
my life that weren't going
Yeah.
to change. That kind of thing.
As-
Yeah.
yeah. I think for me, if I could change anything, it would be probably switching schools from the all-girls school that I went to the co-ed school earlier. But you can't
Hmm.
take back time. I mean, I'm grateful for the time that I had at both schools, but
Right.
if I could go back, I would change to the co-ed school sooner.
Yeah. And I mean, if you go back and you really dissect it, you can't really predict how much of a change you would make.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, if I change that, would I still meet the people that I'm friends with right now? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I even think
Yeah.
about would I have made my Instagram account for Team Nathan, and would I have
Mm-hmm.
still met Carrie and you, or made the
Yeah.
podcast? You know, or I even thought about
Mm-hmm.
like, would I, where would I actually be if I changed that much of a major point in my life?
Mm-hmm.
Because like high school is a major point in your life, and so
Mm-hmm.
if you change even the slightest bit, it's kind of like within the story, her letter
Mm-hmm.
disappearing and all that kind of stuff like that. Like how much of that would disappear, or
Yeah.
how much of that would change? Because
Yeah.
I do feel like those kind of things do change such a big
Mm-hmm.
part of your life when you
Mm-hmm.
redo your decisions and you remake decisions.
Yeah. Very true.
So yeah, I feel like it's so natural to look
Yeah.
back in your past and be like, oh, I wish that. I feel like everyone on this
Yeah.
planet, like there's not one person on this planet that doesn't wish they could go back and change something,
Yeah.
even if it's just the smallest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very
So
true. I think my only other first impression besides how great this ensemble cast was is Chandler Massey, I think, is now the time travel alternate universe movie king. This is his third. His
yeah, I
third.
know. He's so good at it though. Like it's so
Yeah.
good. Like his acting is amazing. I think he's a natural. So
Hmm.
honestly, if this is what you would call his typecasting, I say he's doing pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
if this is what his typecast is, hey, like there's so many possibilities. He could
Uh-huh.
play a knight out in the like mid-century, like be play a knight up in the forest, or he could be like, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
he's playing a 90s babe in this. I mean, he's like a 90s little theater kid. Like, I think that
Hmm.
that's amazing.
It is,
So,
yes.
I mean, that's what's so cool about time travel type
Hmm.
movies is like there really is an endless possibility because we're steady going into the future. So,
Hmm.
like, you could even do a time traveling like movie and it just be like the early tens, like
Yeah.
2010
Literally.
or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you could have like a high school kid like
Yeah.
find a time machine and end up going 10 years back.
Hmm.
Like they're actually coming out with a movie right now. It's on Netflix and it's starring one of the girls from Ginny and Georgia, and then the other
Okay.
girl is from Outer Banks.
Okay.
And she like and they're sisters. And the oldest is the girl who plays on Ginny and Georgia. She plays Ginny. She's
Okay.
like in high school. Well, she dies in a school
Mm.
shooting. And so like the sister who obviously gets born way later,
Hmm.
um, she never met her, obviously, because she was born after she passed
Hmm.
away. She is I don't, obviously, I haven't watched it yet, but she somehow is able to be pushed back in time to when her sister was alive. And she is a high school
Okay.
student along with her sister. So
Aw,
she's like
that's
going to
awesome.
school with her sister. And like, I think it's basically her trying to prevent her sister from getting killed.
Okay.
And so like it's kind of like that. Like she literally goes like
Aw.
10 years like 10 years back into the like 10 years back into the future. You know
Aw.
what I mean? Like it's not even
Yeah.
that far of a time. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's not like she's going a whole decade or a whole century back in
Hmm.
time. It's like literally like a few years. And so like endless possibilities with time things. So if that's
Mhm.
his like typecasting, I say he's doing pretty good.
I
I
think
think I
so
would
too.
rather get that than something else that's way, I don't know, harder to get
Yeah.
cast, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his first time travel movie actually was one of the first movies I reviewed on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Next Stop Christmas. That was one of the
Yes.
first Christmas movies I ever reviewed
What? Okay. Okay. That's where I knew him from. It was killing me the whole movie. I was like, where is he from? Like,
with Lindsay
I love,
Fonseca.
of course. Like, that just smacked me in the face. Like, okay, thank you. Because
Yep.
that was going to kill me all night.
Oh, one of my favorite Christmas movies, I think, that Hallmark has done. It was so good.
Oh, it was so original, so wonderful. Like the
Yeah.
details in the movie. Like, oh,
Yeah.
love that.
Yes. But
Yeah.
back to a 90s Christmas, going to our hits. What were some things that you did like about this movie that you have not already shared, and any standout or favorite scenes?
Hmm. I really like it took me a while. It took me a while into like watching it because I watched it twice.
Mm-hmm. Me
Just
too.
to make sure I got kind of like all the details, but it didn't
Mm-hmm.
hit me until the second time I watched it. But like the song was the countdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't until the end, like it hit me. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, okay. And like I love that she hated it, and then by the end of the movie, she loved it because it just like it had a whole new meaning for her. Because like,
Mm-hmm.
or she hated it first because like Christmas
Yeah.
was just a sore spot for her because of her dad
Yeah.
dying, and
Mm-hmm.
the memory, like the memories of her last Christmas
Mm-hmm.
at home and stuff weren't like, obviously the greatest. And
Yeah.
then she ended up loving it because of being able
What
to change her
happened?
future.
Yeah.
And of course, I love the way that they decorated the car. That actually makes me want to decorate mine like that.
It was
Like
really
it was
cute.
really cute. It was really cute.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, Another thing is like I really liked that the 90s touch wasn't so prominent in this movie. Like it wasn't the biggest part of the movie, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
of course it hinted over stuff like how we have iPhones and like technology, and
Mm-hmm.
there was no Google, there was no
Mm-hmm.
iPhones that you could just quickly hold out your phone, you know.
Yeah.
And like I love that when she asked her sister for her phone because she didn't have her, she was like, "Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's hanging up in the kitchen because it's like a landline. You didn't have
Yeah.
cell phones."
Landline.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I just like that it was subtle. Even her outfit changes. Like if you think about
Mm-hmm.
it, like yeah, she was like in more of a business attire, obviously
Mm-hmm.
before she got
Yeah.
thrown back. But like if you look at fashion right now, like a lot of the trending fashion statements are from the
Mm-hmm.
90s. And like you like when I heard Kiss Me start playing from that
Mm-hmm.
radio, it hit me so hard because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that song. And it's not just for the 90s. Like Kiss Me
Yeah.
was in all of the early 2000s movies.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like it was like a major rom-com movie song that was playing in not just the 90s but the early
Yeah.
2000s movies too.
Yeah.
So I loved that. And of course, like making a mixtape, oh, I would give anything for a guy to still make me a mixtape even today. It would
Mm-hmm.
probably be more like a Spotify playlist or something, but honestly, I think I would love it more if it was like an actual CD.
Yeah.
Like, bring those back. Like, if we're bringing 90s fashion back, we need to bring back like burnt CDs. Like, I loved making a burnt CD.
Um, I still have some of mine, I think, literally,
I
like right
I
in
wish.
there.
Yeah, I wish.
I'm one of those people. I like a hard copy in my hand, whether it's a CD,
Yes,
a DVD,
book. Yeah. No,
movie.
yeah, exactly. Movie DVD, CD, a book. Like now we've got Kindles, our phones, tablets, laptops, radio.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for like her, like I saw in the movie that like in the movie poster that he had like his headphones around his neck. So I was waiting for
Hmm.
like the Walkman to make a like a an actual like
Yeah.
moment, but they never did. So that was the only disappointing part is that I was
Hmm.
ready for them to have like something like that happen where they were
Yeah.
like listening to a Walkman. But oh well.
Yeah. I did see something at the beginning. It looked like a Walkman, but I don't know. When Lucy was
Her
at work
boss.
opening the box from her sister with all the
Yeah.
90s stuff.
And she actually wore the t-shirt that was in the box. the
Mm-hmm.
Spice Girls t-shirt. She had it in the
Yeah.
box. And then she actually wore it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could see the headphones, but they never really like pulled it
Mm-hmm.
out. And I was kind of waiting
No.
for when she would pull it out and see
I
what tape
know.
maybe she still had. Like I wanted to know like what tape did she still have in the Walkman and stuff? Like what was she last listening to?
Yep.
Oh, like and I know you love pointing these out, but did you see some of the mess ups with like the cameras,
No, I didn't.
like in the diner?
No.
Okay. I loved this. I can't believe I actually caught these. But so whenever she was sitting at the diner with the pancakes and
Yeah.
everything, okay, so you notice how the waitress or the girl that was her, I guess, ghost of Christmas past.
Angel. Yeah. Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like she was the waitress and she took the fries and she walked
Yeah.
away with them. But if you saw the camera coming back after she looked at the couple, the fries and the ketchup was there for a split second. And then they
Oh
switched the
no. I
angle
missed
again.
that. I missed
Yeah, you have
that.
to go back and look at that. And then not only that, when she was looking at Maddie's Instagram, if she was looking at an old photo, if you look, it was already liked, and then it switched the camera again, and when it switched it wasn't liked and she liked it.
I missed that.
Girls, I can't believe I actually caught them because you know me. I'm like they go over my
Yeah.
head most of the time. Like you're the one that usually is like, I saw that. Like Carrie's usually the one that's like, I saw that, and I'm like over here clueless.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
I missed
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
great
I
job.
was like, oh,
Great job. Of course, I did like all the other 90s nostalgia we got with,
oh,
the freak out over Y2K and the
oh,
switching of the double zeros.
I was like I do remember that. I do remember everyone
Vaguely,
all of a
yeah.
sudden freaking out and saying, "Oh, it's the end of the world." Like God's coming back. The earth is gonna like explode and all this kind of stuff. And like it didn't even make sense to me back then because I was like, but I do think it's funny that she was just like she was totally easily saying, "Oh, it's not. You're fine. You're gonna be fine. I know this personally. You're
Hmm.
going to be fine." Yeah,
Yes.
I loved her reaction when she saw her grandparents. Like
That was really
her getting
sweet.
like it's like it made me think about my grandpa, like especially
Hmm.
because like her
Yeah.
having such a good close relationship with her grandpa
Hmm.
made me miss my grandpa, which he was six.
Yeah.
I was six. I was 6 years old whenever he passed
Hmm.
away.
Hmm.
And so like I didn't get to enjoy having him and whenever I was
Yeah.
19. But like I just kind of think like her relationship with him would have mirrored a lot of my relationship with my
Hmm.
grandpa. So
Yeah.
her like getting emotional about getting to see him and hug him and
Hmm.
like, talk to him, especially
Hmm.
if I'm not wrong, that was like his last Christmas too. Like, right?
Hmm.
Because like I remember her saying
Yeah.
to her sister, like really
I believe
have
so.
yeah. So like that's even crazier. So
Yeah. And then Doc Brown and Marty McFly from Back to the
uh
Future.
the Friends references were
The
killing
Friends.
me. The Friends references were killing me. I loved it so
That was
much.
great.
So much. Like, of
Yeah.
course, the theater nerd loves Friends. The fact that he was recording the episodes on a VCR,
Sure.
I was like, I wish, I wish. Like her, like dropping the bomb about them having like having Ross and Rachel having a kid, and him just like standing there like, what? Like, can you imagine getting to watch? Like, I never got to watch Friends like live on
Yeah.
television as the shows were coming on, obviously, because I was
Hmm.
little and like I wasn't
Hmm.
obviously gonna watch a show like that at 7 years
Hmm.
old.
Yeah.
But like I was thinking, I was like, can you imagine actually getting to see like all of that stuff happen like live and having to wait for the episodes to come back,
Oh,
like for the next episode, kind of like what we're having to
yeah.
do right now with Cars Hard, like having to wait for the next season and being like, oh, they're
Yeah.
finally gonna get back together. Like, are they
Yes.
finally gonna get them together? You know what I mean? We were like, we didn't have to worry about that. We didn't have to think like, oh, are Ross and Rachel like
No.
actually done? Like, is he actually gonna marry Emily? Is like, you know what I mean? And so
Hmm.
like, I was thinking about that. I was like, that's just bonkers. That's just so crazy.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Even now with Netflix, most of the time, like
Hmm.
when you have a show on Netflix or whatever, you get all of the episodes. Like, you don't have to wait each season for each
Yeah.
episode. If like, for instance, we're having to do that with When Calls the Heart, which is nostalgic for me. But
Hmm.
like, if there's a show on Netflix, most of the time that it's like, and another thing, Like we only get like 8 to 12 episodes. We used to get
Mm-hmm.
like 22 episodes a season. Can you imagine getting 22 episodes a season of Wink Off the Heart?
I wish
Right?
Little
Like I'm
House did
telling you,
that.
right? It's things like that that do make me miss the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like, oh, we had it so
Yeah.
much better in the '90s.
Yeah.
Her talking about how she was staring at her sister, and she's like, no, about the house. She was looking at her sister sitting on the couch
Mm-hmm.
after her grandparents arrived, and was like, "It's so weird looking at a teenager not staring at her phone." And then she gets up to go get her Game Boy, and I was like, "There
Game
it is."
Boy. I had
I
a Game
love my
Boy.
Game Boy Color. I wish so bad I could have my Game Boy Color back.
I think I had a teal one. I think that
I
was the
think
color of
mine.
mine.
I think mine was purple. Yeah, I
I
was a
had,
big purple girl, so it was probably purple. I was that big like purple. I had a neon purple. Like I know this is like the 2000s and not the '90s,
yeah.
but just like talking about it, I had a neon purple bedspread and pillow covers, and then
Mm.
I actually was able to somehow convince my mom to paint my bedroom walls lime green.
Oh my goodness. My bedroom used to be lime green. I'm not even joking. I'm literally, that is not a joke. There was a time when my bedroom was lime green.
I love that so much. Like I had lime green walls, I had zebra printed sheets, and I had a neon purple bedding. I was full on in 2000s. Okay. Like I drink okay, you remember that purple like short prom dress that had like it was like a sweetheart neckline and it had like
Yeah.
the zebra around the bra
Yeah.
part and then it was like purple the rest of the way. Obviously I don't wear that kind of stuff because like
Hmm.
I'm Pentecostal. I wear like I don't wear
Yeah.
anything showing my shoulders and stuff. So
Yeah.
like but I dreamed of wearing that dress to prom. Prom.
Oh my gosh.
Prom dress shopping or anything like that, but I dreamed of that dress and I was like that's I guess like the only thing that I came close to is
Hmm.
having like that dress
Hmm.
but on my bed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh
like
my goodness.
yeah. And like the windows, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. Having them around that old gigantic dinosaur computer with
Windows 95,
yeah, exactly.
the Palm
Like
Pilot, Mambo number
yes,
5, Backstreet
yes.
Boys.
Even though I never really obviously got to experience it that because I wasn't at the age to
Hmm.
experience that, of course, hearing like
Yeah.
my family talk about that,
Yeah.
because of course, anytime we bought, like, whenever we finally got our family computer, it would kind of look like that one, but obviously it wasn't that ancient.
Yeah.
I remember we had a family computer that we all used, and we had it in this back room and we always had it on we I begged my mom to put Lilo and Stitch as the background for the computer so it
That's
stayed Lilo and
funny.
Stitch the entire time that we had it. I remember burning my CDs on it. Like
Oh
we had it for
yeah.
a long time and we finally and I was whenever I was of the age to get trusted with the computer, I used it to burn
Hmm.
uh CDs.
Yeah. We
So
had a family computer. It was in my dad's office, and I remember playing computer games on it. Like I had a PGA Tour game, I had a Nancy Drew game.
yes. The Sims was my jam. I loved
Oh yeah, we had The Sims too.
oh yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Oh, another one I was obsessed with. It was a computer game. The Backyard Baseball and Basketball. Oh
Yeah,
my Lord. I loved those games. And my dad and I, at one point, I don't know if it was in the 90s. I think it was probably late 90s.
yeah.
We we set up a team on Backyard Basketball, and it was the Chuckers. And we made it to the championship and we won, and we got to print out a little certificate.
That's so cool. Yeah, I remember now that you think about it, I remember that. Like very like that just like you just like unlocked a memory, like a core memory. Because I remember playing that like on the computers at school. I remember getting off the bus, like I was like in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I got off the bus with my brother because my mom worked at the middle school in the
Hmm.
computer lab. Like she was a computer lab
Hmm.
teacher. And I remember walking down the halls and like going over there and like her like and me just like she still was doing some things. And so
Yeah.
like I would get up there on her computer at her desk,
Mm-hmm.
and I would put like the little like the foam headphones,
Mm-hmm.
headphones, and like play it,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's so
And
crazy.
a fun memory about the Backstreet Boys when I was a kid, I think it was, I don't remember what year it was, but it was whatever year that Backstreet Boys did the live on TV concert on Disney Channel. I was allowed to stay up and watch that
I'm trying to remember.
at like
I would
1 or
not
2
say
o'clock in the
I
morning
remember that. Yeah,
or
I
midnight.
probably didn't get to watch it. I probably had to watch. I was probably watching like the rerun of it. Like, you know what I mean? How they would
Probably,
do
yeah.
like the like you would get
Hmm.
to see, but yeah. So I probably watched like the rerun version of that. I don't really remember it too much. I'm
No,
trying to think.
I don't, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool that you got to do that though.
It was fun. I
I
remember
bet.
dancing and
Yeah.
oh my goodness. But anyway, some of my favorite scenes or scenes that I enjoyed. I did like Matt and Lucy's meet cute, or at least part of it. And I
Yeah.
like when he's saying, Lucy Clark, a district attorney, stopping crime one law at a time. I don't know if lawyers have slogans, but you can use that. You can have that one if you like.
I know. I thought that that was so adorable, and like lawyers do have like, especially nowadays, like in
Yeah.
Louisiana, we have like get Gordon, get it and get it done, and
Hmm.
one call that's all for Sam. It's like known, especially in Louisiana. Like if you
Hmm.
know anything, it's like Gordon and Sam is
Yeah.
like the top two lawyers.
Yes.
Gordon especially, like get Gordon and get it
Yeah. We
done.
have
Get
some like that
Gordon,
here too.
yeah. And like it's like a catchphrase song that you get stuck in your head
Yeah.
and just like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
I love that like the electric diner. Like I love when they put
It
diners in
looked really
movies.
cute.
It
Yeah.
looked really cute. Yeah. Especially the one that was actually in her small town. Like that was back in the 90s whenever she was in the
Hmm.
90s. Like I
Yeah.
loved that one. And I loved that there was like an electric diner in Milwaukee, but there was also
Hmm.
like whenever she was in the present, there was one right there
Yeah.
in Chicago too. So I love
Hmm.
that it was kind of suddenly a chain.
Yeah. I liked it too.
So I loved that.
I loved when Lucy is transported back to 1999 and her reaction was priceless. You know,
I
when she wakes up the
know,
next day and she sees the
right?
magazine and she's like, wait, this is weird. And then she goes out and gets the paper and she sees Grace and she's like, why does this paper say it's 1999?
And I love that she's like, "Oh, funny, this is all my friends from work trying to play a prank on me or whatever." And she's like, "What friends from work? You don't have any."
Many
And she was like,
friends.
"Fair point, yeah," because it's like she didn't.
And then, am I supposed to relive this Christmas and fix all the mistakes I made so I can go back to my time and cook Christmas goose for all the townsfolk? I feel like that was a shout out to the Hallmark movies that do that.
I feel like it is. I feel like it is like a little bit of a nod, very subtle, but I do think it's yeah. I do think it's there. I could
Yeah,
definitely see that. I love that, like her making fun of the fact that like enjoy your 2020 vision while you still have it.
I know.
I was like, not calling me out because I had 99. I had 2020 vision in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and now
Yeah.
it's 2025, and I'm blind as a bat.
Oh.
Oh well. Did you also notice like I didn't catch it in in her like her first set of glasses that she wore like in
Okay.
the first present, but her glasses that she was wearing after like whenever she gets finished kissing Maddie and she realizes
Hmm.
like, oh, my future did change. Like we're
Yeah.
married and we have kids and
Yeah.
like mom's happy, sister's married,
Hmm.
you know. You could tell that her glasses don't have lenses.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
The only reason why I noticed it is obviously because like I wear glasses and
Hmm.
like you know what it's like
Yeah.
to have glasses and it reflects
Yeah.
every light.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, which I get it. Like you're filming a camera. Like I know like it's a pain to get your
Hmm.
photo professionally done when you wear
Yeah.
glasses. That's why they just about don't even Like they've just now started getting to the technology where
Mm-hmm.
you can wear your glasses and it doesn't affect the camera, like or it doesn't affect the
Yeah.
photos. They can Photoshop whatever glares or whatever comes out of your eyes.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to watch it because like some people have like I know me and my sister-in-law and my brother, we all three have glasses. And so it's very, very hard for us to get a family photo without
Yeah.
our eyes looking weird because the photographer
Aw.
edits them really weird because of the glares.
Aw.
And so I guess like obviously they're filming with a high def camera and
Mm-hmm.
like they're in their face and everything. So of course they can't risk the glares of like the Christmas lights on against the lenses and stuff.
Yeah.
And plus like Eva doesn't have to wear glasses.
Yeah.
So it's easier to just have them not have any. But I caught that and I was like, okay, I see you.
Good
I see you.
catch. Good catch. One scene that made me laugh was the morning after she gets transported back and she
Mhm.
walks into the kitchen and her mom is in there and her sister and she's asking if there's almond milk and Alexa's like, "You can milk an almond?"
I drank almond milk and I was thinking, oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Like if I would have known that from now, whenever she was like having her little pep talk with her mom, and she was
Mm-hmm.
talking about how it looked like a Pinterest board in here, and she's like, "A Pinterest? What's a Pinterest board?" And I was
What's the Pinterest?
like, if you knew now, sister, if you only knew, you would be a pro Pinterest mom. Like you were the OG Pinterest mom before there was Pinterest moms. Like,
I could spend hours on Pinterest.
oh, same, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. I love that she did end up telling at least one person that she was from the future. And of course, like I
Nadine.
love that they made Nadine like a sci-fi nerd and that of
Yeah.
course the sci-fi nerd would totally believe in time
Mm-hmm.
travel. And
Yeah.
of course, like you said, like the Doc and Marty McFly references, I was like, of course, you can't not reference Marty
You're
McFly
like
and
the
Doc.
real life
Yeah,
Marty
that's like the
McFly.
OG. Yeah. I mean, back then
Yeah.
you really didn't have any other references to time travel other than that. I think they
Mm-mm.
didn't. I don't think they did. I don't think they did Hot Tub Time Machine until like the early 2000s, right?
I would have to look it up, but
I
yeah.
think Hot Tub Time Machine was like early 2000s. But other than
Okay.
that, I think the only time travel movie that was
It's
very
Back to the
popular and like
Future.
widely known was Back to the Future.
Hmm.
So I
And
love
that's
that they made Nadine like this. I wish they would have shown what Nadine's future looked like
yeah. I
because
actually
I
wish that
never.
too.
Well, they kind of did. They showed her looking at the letter
Yeah.
that Lucy made her, and
Hmm.
then her looking at like the apple stalk.
Hmm.
But we
Hmm.
didn't know anything else about her future, which I guess that's all
Yeah.
we needed to know was that she wasn't
Yeah.
living in a house where her pipes burst and she was getting a GoFundMe. But
Hmm.
still, like I kind of wish I would have been able to kind of see a little bit more,
Yeah.
maybe like a little bit of a clip of her hanging out with her doing something,
Hmm.
or her with her kids
Yeah.
or something like that. But
I love when Nadine in that first scene with
yeah,
Lucy, she's like, "You really are from the future."
can you imagine if that really did happen to you? You know what I mean? Like,
No.
if suddenly your best friend is coming to you and telling you, like, I'm from the future.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
like, yeah, wow,
I
crazy.
think one of my top favorite scenes is the one with Lucy and Alexa when they're talking in the kitchen to their mom or with their mom
Mhm.
about their dad,
Yeah.
about the Christmas portrait. And, she's really struggling with the loss of her husband.
Yeah, because I feel like that's another big thing that people don't really talk
Hmm.
about is, like, what do you do with your traditions when the person who created those traditions is no longer
Hmm.
there? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, especially when they're the ones that started it, they're the ones that created it, and then
Yeah.
deciding whether or not that you could
Hmm.
continue to do it.
Hmm.
Which I know like a lot of traditions tend to come from like ancestors or like your
Hmm.
great grandparents. Like for instance, we didn't like one of my favorite family traditions was always picking out an ornament to put on your tree, and like it's your
Yeah.
ornament
That's
and you
a,
kind of pick out and you can kind of base it off of maybe something that happened to you that year that you want to
yeah.
celebrate,
That's a good
or
tradition.
maybe you just like the ornament. Maybe you just
Yeah.
feel like that ornament just represents who you like, something that you love. And
Hmm.
so, like, it wasn't something that anybody else in our family did. We just kind of started it one year. It didn't happen whenever we were
Hmm.
kids. Like, we had special old ornaments that, of course, whenever you're in kindergarten, and
Yeah.
like your Sunday school teacher or your kindergarten teacher makes you do like a
Yeah.
Christmas craft to send home.
Mhm.
We literally have one from whenever my brother was like a year old.
Mhm.
It was on one of his first Christmas presents that he got from one of my grandparents, and it's like a Santa head made out of like the fluff, the stuffing that you usually put like in
Okay.
pillows and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and it had like a Santa face on it that was glued on it, and like
Mhm.
it was an ornament, but it was a part of the present, like the wrapping of the present, and so my mom used it as an ornament on the tree
Aw.
as like his first Christmas ornament.
Mhm.
So we literally still have that one, and it's literally 32 years old. And then there's a
Aw.
picture of me, and it's in it inside like a little foam, like little felt Christmas tree that
Mhm.
got cut out, and like it has like sequins on it for the
Mhm.
ornaments, and like and it's a cutout of a circle in it, and like there's a
Yeah.
photo of me, and of course it's a photo of me where I'm missing teeth, and I
Aw.
just cut my own bangs, so they're all like floppy and weird looking from whenever I got a hold of the kitchen scissors,
Aw.
and so I'm like, oh, of course embarrassing photo goes in the Christmas tree ornament for the rest of my life.
Aw. I love that tradition. That's a good tradition with
Yeah,
the
I know
ornament.
it's a tradition I plan on hopefully bringing with which my brother, he took the traditions with like
That's awesome.
Oliver and the twins.
Yeah.
So they all get their own little ornaments
Mhm.
like we do it with our tree. Like they have their own little ornaments on our tree. Like one year Olivia, she was 2, it was like her second Christmas, one of the
Mhm.
twins. She was obsessed with ducks. Loved
Mhm.
ducks. So we got her
Oh.
what was
Yeah.
a little rubber ducky. And so it's a
Mhm.
little yellow rubber ducky ornament that goes on the tree.
Aw.
And she
I
loved it.
love
Every
that.
year she looked for her duck. So like I can't wait until I have kids and like I
Yeah.
can get them ornaments and like every year getting excited and being able to share like, oh
Mhm.
look at my ducky from whenever
Yeah.
I was 2 or because even I do
Yeah.
that still. I get so excited when I see that little felt green tree with my kindergarten pit, like one
Mhm.
of my little old photos of me with my snaggled tooth and like
Yeah.
cut hair. So I love that you're like I love traditions. Like I love when
Mhm.
movies share like traditions. Like oh, this and with mom and dad. Like I love when movies do that because it makes it
Yeah.
more real
Me
and
too.
like shows that they're not like it makes it more. I guess not necessarily realistic, but just more homey
Yeah, I
and
agree.
like natural.
And
So
even though we know, from the end of the movie that Lucy was trying to push everyone away because of the loss of her dad, I thought that the relationship between her and her family was great.
I do too. I love that she had. I love that she I love that they obviously like she
Hmm.
pointed stuff out that she loved about like
Yeah.
traditions that she had with her dad, like the photo
Hmm.
and like the pool table. And but
Yeah.
she also shared that same connection with her grandpa of like him
Hmm.
getting her that pool the pool cue and obviously like teaching her how to play and like
Hmm.
learning all of her tricks from him. And I get it. Like she went through it. It was like she was going back. She already knew what was happening and
Hmm.
what was going to happen next. I could tell that she was being more hyper aware of
Hmm.
her family's grief.
Yeah.
And of course, like without her saying it, you would think like she did this back whenever it actually was happening, but she didn't. Because she
Hmm.
even makes that known. Like she was very
Yeah.
selfish whenever
Yeah.
everything was actually happening. But this time
Yeah.
she was very much more aware of like telling her mom and her
Hmm.
sister how proud she was and how, sorry she was that she was wrapping herself up in her own grief
Hmm.
and not paying attention that they were
Hmm.
also grieving and that she
Yeah.
should have pulled herself out more and
Hmm.
paid attention to them more and give them more time and
Yeah.
more attention as well.
Hmm.
Like, for instance, watching her mom constantly try and fix that one little piece of ribbon
Yeah.
outside.
Hmm.
And then, of course, like her sister, knowing that that was like a Christmas that before she came out and before she,
Hmm.
had such a drastic change in her life while
Yeah.
also grieving and also being felt like the black
Hmm.
sheep because,
Yeah.
and that was another thing. I love that we got 2 different representations of like trendy girls in the 90s because
Yeah.
like Lucy was more of like the girly pop, like
Hmm.
clueless,
Yeah.
like Spice Girls, Backstreet
Hmm.
Boy girl.
Yeah.
And then like Alexa was more of like the rock,
Mm-hmm.
Paramore, like, not necessarily Paramore, but like the more garage band, like
Mm-hmm.
dark clothes, highlights, dark
Yeah.
moody girl.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, because both of those were big trends. Like either you were a Gwen
Mm-hmm.
Stefani girl or you were a Britney Spears girl,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
kind of thing.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of ironic in a good way, of course, that the one who plays Alexa in this movie, she plays Teen Cat in The Way Home.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
So she did a
It's
good job in
crazy.
this role. Yeah.
I think she did too. I think that she
Yeah.
did really great. I think that yeah, and who knows, maybe that's her typecast is that she's gonna play girls from the like maybe
Nice.
she's also
Girls
gonna
from the
be like,
90s.
yeah. But hey, she does it
Yeah.
very well. She does it very
Yeah.
well. So hey,
Yeah. She did a great job.
And
I
again, I
love,
love the fashion. I love the music. I
yeah,
love,
me too.
oh my gosh, like seeing her open the door to her room and walking around to her room. I was like, oh, I wish I had all of that stuff. Like, I wish my room looked like that. Like all the posters on the walls and
I
all
had
the little
posters.
trinkets. I had a few, but
Hmm.
my mom was very picky about just letting us hang
Yeah.
out, like hang up whatever,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
like it wasn't until I was like 15 that she even let me like
Yeah.
paint my walls because like
Okay.
she,
Yeah.
it was so crazy because she didn't want me to paint like
Yeah.
choose too early because then she knew I'd probably pick like a crazy color, and then my first
Hmm.
color I wanted to paint my walls was lime green. And I was
Yeah.
like, you waited too long for nothing because I still painted a really crazy color, but okay. But
Yeah.
no, like I looked back and I was like, oh man, I feel like I probably would have been more of an Alex girl. Like I probably
Okay.
would have preferred more to like the Gwen Stefani,
Okay.
Christina
Yeah.
Al yeah, Christina Aguilera
Hmm.
more style. Maybe not too grunge, but a little bit
Yeah.
more. I feel like I'm a happy medium. Like I'm not too bubblegum. Like I'm not too bubblegum pink, but I'm
Yeah.
not too like dark and moody either. Like I'm kind of like
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah. I
So,
see what
but
you're
it was so
saying.
cool, like seeing their rooms and seeing how different they were, like
Hmm.
seeing how different they were, and they aren't that far apart in age. So
No.
like they were, going through the trends at the same time,
Hmm.
and they don't just like it's pretty natural for sisters to be kind of polar
Hmm.
opposites somewhat. So again, it was so cool to see two different core trends
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
90s
Yeah.
like that. That was really cool. It really
Hmm.
scratched an itch in my brain, I guess, because it was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I love that. I love that they
Hmm.
didn't just go to one specific aesthetic.
Yeah. Me too.
It just fits
Hmm.
so perfectly. And like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, talking about rooms, Maddie posters, his theater posters, like the Wizard of Oz one and like the
That was
oh, what was
great.
the other one? Like the Wizard of Oz one, especially since Wicked is out. And then
Hmm.
like oh, what was the other one? Oh, the Phantom of the Opera
Oh,
one. I
yeah.
wanted so bad. Like I wish I could have just taken it right off his wall. Like
That's
I
awesome.
love that.
That was great.
I feel like as like if I was like a set designer, I feel like it would be harder to create a set for a boy, like a bedroom set for a boy than it
Okay.
is for a girl. Because guys don't tend to decorate a whole lot with their rooms. They're very simple,
No.
very like
Yeah.
they don't have trinkets and things like that. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Not like us girls,
Hmm.
at least not on the same level as girls. So I feel like as
Yeah.
a set designer, I would have had way more fun decorating the girls' rooms than I would have had his. But I think I really love the way that the set designers really honed in on him
Yeah.
being a theater nerd. Because let's be
Hmm.
honest, as a theater nerd, you definitely had like all the playbills. You had
Hmm.
posters on your wall. You had like books that the Broadway musicals were made from
Hmm.
or made after the Broadway. Like, yeah. So I think
Hmm.
they did a really good job with that.
I think my favorite scene, I briefly touched on it at the beginning of the episode, but Lucy and her grandfather, Howard, playing pool and their talk about
Yeah.
her dad.
That was, and again, actually getting to see her open up the pool cube and like have her
Hmm.
hands like kind of against the
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it was like if the character was real, like getting to see your
Hmm.
grandpa who is no longer. And like another thing, like
Hmm.
her thinking that her mom got a dog that looked exactly like her childhood dog, and then whenever she realized he was actually him,
Hmm.
like having him do like the
That was
trick
really
and like the
sweet.
photo, I thought that was so adorable. I definitely seen that. I really loved it as well. But like
Mhm.
knowing and getting to see these people
Mhm.
that are no longer existing in your life in the present, and actually
Mhm.
getting this chance to really stop, look at them, and really
Yeah.
be present in that core moment. Oh, I
Yes.
loved that. Like, they dream about wishing that they can go back to that one specific moment and
Yeah.
really like being present,
Mhm.
like really listening to their voice so you can remember it. Like, 'cause I can't really remember my grandpa's
Yeah.
voice. So like getting the
Mm.
chance to go back and really hone in and like focus and really take in like his
Yeah.
voice, take in what he smelled like, took in what
Yeah.
he looked like the wrinkles by his eye or the way that
Mhm.
his hair looked, or like I have a photo of him, but it's not like really
Yeah.
getting to remember, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So like I really love those scenes because you could tell that she was really taking it in and being
Mhm.
like, this is my grandpa. Like,
Mhm.
we're playing pool again. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't been able to do this with him since he passed away and since I left for
Mhm.
college. Like, getting to
Yeah.
have that special moment and getting to relive him like, giving her such a important gift
Mhm.
that she even said, like, she loved to do and use.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite scenes is her giving him, like, of course, at the end, whenever she's like giving him the mixtape and like
Mhm. That's
just
one of
like
mine too.
rambling, like
Yeah.
just word vomiting all over him. And
Yeah.
like, obviously, she's trying to like beat the clock and be like, if I don't say this right now, I'm not going to be able to say it. And then it's just going to be like, as if the whole reason why I'm in here is no longer
Yeah.
like it just ruins everything. Like, I've got to say
Yeah.
something. I got to say it now, or else I've just wasted a huge chance that no one
Mhm.
ever gets. Like, so I'm just gonna word vomit all over you real
Mhm.
quick and like tell you to shut up, and then I'm gonna tell you to say something because now it's your turn to say something because we've got to hurry this along before I disappear.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mhm.
loved that because it's so real, because it's like
Yeah.
you word vomit all over the person, especially when you're being rushed.
Yeah.
But you also know it's gonna be a monumental part of your life if you do get to say it. So at the same time, you're
Mhm.
just like, you know, it was so like
Mhm.
chaotic, but so sweet and like so
Yeah.
cool. Like, I love the mixtape. I love her having like a little piece of mistletoe and like,
Mhm.
yeah, I thought that
And
was such a sweet thing.
and then him sharing the real reason why he calls her lobster, and
Oh my
it's
god.
season 2 of Friends when Phoebe says that the group needs to find their lobster because when a lobster finds the one, they stay together for life.
Yeah, they mate for life. Yeah. And what's so funny is like obviously we didn't get to do a bachelorette for Carrie, but that was actually going to be the
Mhm.
theme of her bachelorette.
That's awesome.
We were going to do the she found her lobster.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love
Because
that.
I even have it still saved on my Etsy. I was gonna get her like this little plush
Yeah.
lobster and have their
Aw,
wedding date on it,
that
and
would
give
have
it
been
to
really
her.
sweet.
And I haven't
Yeah.
gotten it. I still plan on wanting to do that because that's one thing
Yeah.
that she kept quoting throughout their relationship was how like
Hmm.
she like, because she, of course, like Carrie is obsessed with
Yeah.
Friends. She loves Friends, and so
Yeah.
she always quoted that. And so whenever I heard her talk about him say that about the lobster thing, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, the first thing I thought of was Carrie and Jeremy.
Oh,
Uh, so that was so sweet to actually see someone like refer to someone as their lobster like
that's
that,
really
even though
sweet.
they're in the friend zone.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was so sweet, but also
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. And I love how they did the flash forward with all the different scenes. That was great.
Yes, I thought it was really well done. And I love that it wasn't just her flash forwarding through her life, but we got to see her sister or mom, like her
Yeah.
mom opening a bakery, or like I think that's
Yeah.
what it was, right? A bakery and
Tina's,
everything. Like, I thought that was so
yeah.
sweet.
Tina's
Tina's
treats.
sweet. Yeah,
Treats, I
Tina's
think.
treat. Yeah, yeah. Like that was so sweet. And then we got to see her like pregnant and then buying a house and then like her
Hmm.
having them having a boy and her like
Yeah.
measuring his height and like, if I'm
The
not
ice
mistaken,
skating.
like, yeah, the
Yeah.
ice skating and like showing him how to ice skate and like
It was
at the
really cute.
rink.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was all really, really sweet. Like, I love that
Yeah.
they had special moments in their special moments. Like
Hmm.
whenever like them ice skating with like him proposing at the skating rink, and then even showing them like having him skating with them at the
Yeah.
rink, and just like eating at the diner.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, all these like core
Yeah.
locations being still there throughout the rest of their life. Like as
Yeah.
their family grew, they got married, the whole
Hmm.
thing.
A great way to end the movie. And moving
Yeah,
on to our misses, was there anything maybe that you didn't like or that you wanted to see or wished for?
yeah. I just wish that we would have been able to see a little bit more of Nadine, both before and after.
Yeah,
Because
that would have
like
been
in the
nice.
before, yeah, like in the before, we were able to like she saw like the little, I guess it was like a GoFundMe,
I think so.
um, and her wanting to learn how to like donate to it, and then like she got the phone
Hmm.
call,
Yeah.
but also like wanting to see more. I also wanted to see more of her while she was in the past,
Yeah.
because I
Same.
feel like we really didn't get to see that much of her friendship, which I get. Like the
Yeah.
core friendship was obviously her friendship with Maddie,
Hmm.
but like at the same time, it's like we know that they're trying to be like a romantic couple.
Hmm.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
like it was a friendship, but it's like at the same time, it wasn't the kind of friendship that obviously her and Nadine were.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have had more like of a reaction from Nadine about her future with
Hmm.
Lucy. Like would have
Yeah.
asked her more about like why aren't we friends? Like what
Hmm.
happened? Why did
Yeah.
we drift apart? Like I
Yeah.
understand like that's something that kind of just naturally happens for people, but
Hmm.
why did it happen for us? You
Yes.
know, like that kind of thing. 'Cause especially with her
Yeah.
knowing she was from the future and everything like that, kind of, which I get, like not trying to mess up the timeline, and her knowing that from
Yeah.
like some sci-fi or whatever.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I just wish I would have liked to have seen more of Nadine.
Hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
the only thing I probably would have changed
Okay.
was to see more of Nadine. I can't think of anything else right now off the top of my
Okay.
head.
I think there are two things for me. Now, it didn't make me not enjoy the movie at all.
Right.
But one, the timeline, when she goes back, it's 25 years in the past. And
Yeah.
then, she's 19. So if you do the math, 25 years, that would make her 44 in the present, which I kind of have to suspend belief a little bit because she doesn't look 44. She looks younger than that,
Yeah.
which is not a criticism, but it just,
No.
I have to suspend belief a little bit because the timeline
Well, if you think
does
about it,
seem.
if you also look at it, like they still use like the same actors
Hmm.
as well. Like when Alex was on the phone, like in the present before she went to the past, same
Yeah.
actress as the one that's in like the
Yeah.
flashback, like in the
Hmm.
past. Same with the mom. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like they didn't use different actors to show off
Hmm.
which that was fine. Like that really didn't bother
Yeah.
me that
It didn't
much.
bother me either. No.
But I get what you're saying. It's like in reality, she's not 45 years old. Either they messed up the math,
Yeah.
or I feel like they just messed up the math.
Probably. The math isn't
Yeah.
mathing.
I feel like the math wasn't mathing. Yeah. I don't think they concentrated too much on the math part. Which they never
No.
specified her age. They just
No.
specified that it had been
Not in the
25
future.
years, and that was not like it's 20. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. In the movie, I think it was 2024, right? And like
Yeah.
she
It was
went back
2024.
25 years and it was 1999. Yeah. So I think they were mainly just trying to make sure like the
Hmm.
years were
Yeah.
right, and they didn't really
Mhm.
they didn't really concentrate on the math part.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's okay. It didn't take away
Yeah.
from me enjoying the movie. But
Yeah, but when you know it, it does kind of, it's like, it kind of is that little niche in the back of your head, like, they got the math wrong. The math is not my thing.
nope.
But it doesn't completely ruin it. But it's like there
No.
in the back of your head, like,
Yes. And then the other thing is that you can't change anything in the past lecture. I think, from Grace,
yeah,
it
I
did
think that
get a little
it threw me off.
confusing,
Yeah.
but I did think that they did a great job pulling it together in the end.
Yeah, because it was confusing me too, because it's like kind of like her and Nadine were talking about, because Nadine's like, well, what's the point of you coming back if you can't
Yeah.
change anything?
Mm-hmm.
What, just so you can learn and try and you like remember everything that happened?
Yeah.
And then like whenever you come back to the future trying to like rekindle your friendship with me or
Mm-hmm.
rekindle whatever possible relationship you could have with Maddie, like you're
Yeah.
not even guaranteed that, because it's like, what if our friendship is too far gone and we
Mm-hmm.
can't mend our friendship after 25 years of like not talking to each other?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, can you really even do that? Can you think about it? Like
Yeah.
you're no longer friends with this person for 25 years. You're completely two different people now than you were 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And like you kind of ghost each other, which was
Mm-hmm.
funny how they brought ghosting into it. She's like, "What?
I'm so sorry I ghosted
What's
you.
ghosting?" That was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's like, could she have, like, if you think about it, if that was the trajectory, if she was just coming back to the past to really learn
Mm-hmm.
how her actions put her on a course where
Mm-hmm.
she ends up alone, like if she was to go back to the future having not changed anything, could she have mended that relationship with Nadine? Could she have
Yeah.
caused a relationship to happen between her and Matt? Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
could she have
Those were,
fixed her relationship with her mom and her sister?
yeah, those were the two big things for me. And then this is more of a wish. It's not something that was necessary, I don't
Like, it
think, but
wasn't
it's
a make or
something.
break.
Oh, yeah. This
Yeah.
wasn't a make or break thing, but if there was one specific thing that I would have had Lucy share about the future, probably with Nadine, because she was the one that shared a lot about what happens in 2024, I would
Right.
say have her mention 9/11 because that was a big event.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, because it happened in 2001. That was only 2 years later.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
mean, that
true.
affected a lot of people. So if there was one
Yeah.
thing, I would have her mention.
That's true. Yeah. But like kind of makes you think like would that like I wonder how much of a course change that would have been. Or if they
Yeah.
would have even believed her, because at the same time, like they were all like not necessarily freaking out, but like the grandparents
Yeah.
mentioning Y2K and about how the
Yeah.
world's gonna like how like getting water and stocking up
Mm-hmm.
food for the world to end and everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I would change besides the Nadine, I'm trying to think of anything else that I might would have changed. I'm really not sure. I can't think of anything else, but
I
that was a
can't.
really good one. That
Yeah.
was a really good one about mentioning my 9/11. I'm trying to think of something
Yeah.
else like pop cultural that happened
Mm-hmm.
back then that should have been mentioned.
Um, I would have to give that some thought, but yeah, 9/11. I mean, that was heartbreaking and that negatively affected a lot of people in the
Yeah,
country.
that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it was an all-around good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I was skeptical at first
Yeah.
because I thought at first it was kind of going to that generic, oh, she's a
Mm-hmm.
workaholic, she
Yeah.
pushed her family out, try and focus on, climbing the ladder of success
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But it did
Yeah.
take a turn that I think was really enjoyable, and I feel like it's a
Mm-hmm.
very big lesson to people, because like you hear people say all the time, like, oh, there's no right or wrong way to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
This movie shows you there is a right or wrong way to
Yes.
grieve,
Mm-hmm.
because when you push people away and you isolate yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
like she said, like she finally talked about why
Yeah.
she did what she did, why she went to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
why she cut off connections with Nadine
Yeah.
and Matt and even her mom, like why she never went back
Yeah.
home for Christmas, for that one Christmas, which
Mm-hmm.
it was the first Christmas without her dad. But it just shows you how you can steer yourself down a bad path that ends you that
Mm-hmm.
where you end up alone, when you
Yeah.
could have been on a path that would have sent you to a place where, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you probably would have been uncomfortable in some areas. Like, for instance, she would have just been in New York. And like the sense that she felt like she
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been successful because she
Yeah.
knew she was successful by choosing
Before.
Chicago. But
Yeah.
she didn't know that she still would have been ended up being successful if she would have went to New York.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because it's that unknown. It's that road
Mm-hmm.
of
You
unknowing.
just don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you don't know, that everyone has
Yeah.
to make that decision, that you just have to brave the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
walk it, try and make your best of it, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I do.
so like so you're seeing her finally realize like I picked the safe option.
Mm-hmm.
I picked the safe
Yeah.
option of me leaving all of this behind, not allowing it to drown me, thinking that that was her way of escaping her
Mm-hmm.
grief and escaping all of that, but really it just ended up her being alone and pushing all of the
Mm-hmm.
people that loved her away from her.
Yeah.
And she was able to finally admit it was all because she wanted to play it safe. She didn't want,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
all of that like it was just
Mm-hmm.
her choosing the wrong way to grieve.
Yeah, exactly.
She didn't want to lose people, like she lost her dad. So she
Mm-hmm.
thought pushing away her sister and her mom, that if something happened to them like it happened with her dad, she wouldn't grieve them as fast as she did with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Her pushing Matt away would have kept her from experiencing that type of grief, because that's a whole different grief. Like losing your love,
Mm-hmm.
like your like romantic love,
Mm-hmm.
and of course like a friendship love, like with Nadine,
Mm-hmm.
like pushing all these people away and being afraid of feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Yeah.
Elizabeth, her being afraid to love
I was
Nathan.
gonna say that.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was
it was
gonna
the
say
same. It's
that.
like the same exact thing, except she didn't
Mm-hmm.
choose the option where she was by herself. She chose the wrong person because like this was
Safe.
the safe option, because he didn't
Yeah.
have a dangerous job, even though
Yes.
technically he did, because he ended up being
Uh,
governor and he ended up getting shot. But that's a whole different thing.
yes, which we will not get into on this episode.
No, because then this will become an even longer podcast episode than it already is. But no, like I think that's another moral of the story that I
Yeah.
believe. I feel like another thing people need to take from this is that there is a right or wrong way to grieve. Don't
Yeah.
push people away. Let them help you
Mm-hmm.
any way that they possibly can. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
big. Just let them in small ways. Don't push people that are already in your life out of your life
Yeah.
simply because one other person left out of your life. Because, that doesn't mean that it's going to be the same way with them. Whether
Yeah.
it's a breakup, a death, you know,
Mm-hmm.
long distance, sudden, like, the person moves away, losing touch with the person because of
Mm-hmm.
distance, whatever kind of grief it may be. Those are all types of forms of grief. There is a right or wrong way
Yeah.
to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let yourself push people away,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just because you're afraid to lose them, like you lost the person previously that you're
Mm-hmm.
grieving. So that's a definitely big theme that I think
Yeah.
was,
That was
yeah,
great.
very important from
Yeah.
this. Sure. But yeah, I'm like
And
you. I kind of feel like it was so many different things and it was so great and it really touched on a lot of things I feel like it's
mm-hmm.
so crazy because it's like this was the 90s, but I mean, here we are 25 years later and people are still making those kind of mistakes in their lives
Mm-hmm.
of like grieving wrong and pushing people out of their lives
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to get hurt again.
Yeah.
So,
Moving on to ratings, what would you give the cast out of 5 stars?
10 out of 10.
I said 5 out of 5 stars, but it would be 10 out of
Oh,
10.
5 out of 5, 10 out of
Yeah.
10, whichever one. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I feel like everyone had good chemistry with each other. Like the
Yeah.
sisters had great chemistry with each other. The mom had great chemistry with both girls.
Yeah.
Of course, Matt and her chemistry was very romantic, very
Yeah.
sweet, very much that like childhood best friend made
Mm-hmm.
into, husband, high
Yeah.
school
Friends to
sweetheart.
lovers.
Yeah, friends to lovers, high school love kind of
Yeah.
thing, college sweethearts, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Even though it was very small, obviously her friendship with Nadine was very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Matt with his parents,
Yeah.
like even their little side storyline
Mm-hmm.
was really sweet and very
Yeah.
very much another great theme of the story about just being accepting of one another, of who they
Yeah.
are and loving them
Mm-hmm.
despite not choosing the lifestyle that maybe you wanted them to choose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there was a lot of
Yeah.
great themes in this movie, and I think that was one. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everyone had a really great chemistry to pull it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. I gave the chemistry 5 out of 5 too. And
Yeah,
then Christmas feels.
like I said, Christmas I feel like took a back seat, but it was
Yeah.
nice. It was so
Mhm.
nice though, like because it kind of
Yeah.
had some nostalgia
Mhm.
to it too. I would maybe give it like a 3 out of 5.
Okay, I said a 4, which is
Yeah,
still good.
yeah, but like I like that it wasn't too in your face,
Yeah.
too dramatic
Yes.
Christmas. I like that it was subtle.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, whenever you are doing a movie about people grieving during the holidays, Christmas does take a back seat. Like the mom was pushing through, trying to make it like still make it a good Christmas, even though it was their first Christmas without the dad. She was trying very hard to make it a good Christmas. But still, whenever you're grieving and you've got more important things in the front of your mind, Christmas does take a back seat. So I feel like that was only natural for the film.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the setting. So that's
I would
the
say
sets.
I would say 5 out of 5. I think that they did really great with the way they decorated the homes, the rooms.
Yeah.
The diner had a really great, theme to it, like the nostalgia of, sitting in a booth or whatever and eating waffles or whatever, milkshakes, whatever you choose. The ice rink, of course, another classic movie touch, during winter, especially in a place like Milwaukee, I think they did really great with the set designs, especially for the rooms.
Yeah. I said 4.5, which is still very high for me.
Yeah, that's still very,
Yeah. And then story, so that's the writing.
5 out of 5, for sure.
Okay. I said 4, just based on the thing that I just previously mentioned. Well,
that's true too. Honestly, I changed mine to 4 out of 5 because I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, and plus, like, not having enough more of Nadine.
Yeah,
and having more of a different outcome with that. So 4 out of 5 for that.
And then overall
5 out of 5. Honestly, because I feel like it just still had the perfect touch of 90s nostalgia. Especially if you're a 90s kid. It wasn't too overpowering, you know what I mean? Too gimmicky, too on the nose. Of course, like the themes, there were so many different themes that all kind of correlated into one about, like, whether it be with grief, whether it be being more present, being easier, like less hard on yourself, staying close to people, not shutting people out, Not everyone gets a chance to get into a time machine and go back and change things in their past. You kind of had to just make the best of it and try and, learn the lessons from your past and not make the same mistakes again and just try and be a better person from it.
Yeah.
So, I think it was overall really great. I feel like there were so many things that, people need to learn, especially even in this day and hour. It shows you that, we as humans were still making the same mistakes even 25 years later. And so be easier on ourselves, be more kind and loving, especially to our families right now.
Yeah.
So I think it was really, I just think it was a really good, wholesome movie.
I gave it 4 out of 5, but still good for me. So
of course. I mean, like,
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for joining me. I had a great time, as always.
Me too. Me too. I did too. Thank you. I loved doing this again. Like, So getting to review this movie and doing it with you was really great. So thank you.
Of course. And hopefully we'll be able to do it again in the very near future.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, Hallmarkies and Hearties. I think that wraps up our review of A 90s Christmas. If you enjoyed this episode and are watching on YouTube, you can like this video and share your thoughts about the movie in the comments. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure to rate and review, as your feedback is always greatly appreciated. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel on YouTube or follow along on Spotify, and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. You can also find the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Swing My Heart Podcast and Twitter at Swing My Heart Pod. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.